Grand rising, powerful being. Today I'm going to be talking about escaping the matrix that keeps you in a loop. Escaping the matrix is in your mind. Matrix is in your mind. And let me ask you a question. Do your days seem like it's the same every day? I heard this thing, box office, box lunch. Then you go back in a box and you get home in a box. So you stay in the box. So that's what the matrix does. The matrix want to constrain you, limit you, and keep you in a comfortable reality. And most of us are living in a comfortable reality, and we're not tapping into all of the possibilities, right? So this is what I'm going to be tapping into. Escaping the matrix in your mind that's been keeping you in a loop, right? Come in. If y'all ever seen come in. I'm doing oh, thank you. If y'all ever seen the Matrix movie, a lot of people are not willing to fight for the truth, or are not willing to actually step into it because they prefer the box life, right? And it's comfortable, but at the same time it's limiting. Okay, so I'm gonna be talking about why not to choose comfort over truth, why you should choose love over the rabbit, chasing the rabbit. Okay, and this is inspired because yesterday I actually went out and watched The Matrix Resurrections 4. So I thought about it. I'm like, yo, why not keep the podcast aligned with what's going on? And the movie was a very, very interesting film. It had various concepts. It mixed in so many different things from Matrix 1, Matrix 2, Matrix 3, and brought it in together in Matrix 4 in a way that kind of like showcases society today. But I do believe that they could have went in a little bit, they could have went in deeper to explain the Matrix more, but those who know already know. But they still put a lot of concepts in there that was very useful, right? So anyways, let's get to the podcast. What do I mean by escaping the matrix in your mind that keeps you in a loop? Now, have you ever felt like you having a whole bunch of deja vus, like I've been here before type of moment, like have I done this before type of moment? Like recently I've had more of those times. And now I'm not saying that we're living in a stimulation as it relates, we're in a computer program. Who the heck knows? I don't know. But what I'm saying for sure is I have seen within my own life where it's very routine. And the other day I was like, yo, it's been very mundane. Now, think of it. If my life is routine based on a routine I've created, what about a routine life that is not chosen? Like, you didn't really choose the routine, you just fell in it. And then you just kind of like living your whole life in this loop of waking up, going to work, coming back, taking a shower, doing the same thing over and over and over. It's almost like your life is looping, right? And this can cause psychological issues, right? Because you feel like a cog in the wheel. You feel like a part of the machine, right? You don't really feel human. Like you're being used, you're being drained, your battery, you're being used as a battery. So that's what the matrix does. It leeches on your energies, right? And somebody says, what is it exactly is the matrix? Well, I'll tell you what the matrix is not, and maybe that will tell you what the matrix is, right? The matrix is not real life, right? The matrix is not reality. The matrix is a false reality that is created in order to keep people in line. So the matrix is not reality. It is a false reality created to keep people in line. Now, this false reality shows up in our lives in many, many different ways, right? Not just a false reality as in what you see or hear or touch. I'm talking about the false reality about what's really going on in the world, right? Everything in its own way has a matrix within it. What do I mean by that? The news that you watch in itself can create your perception or idea of what's really going on. So you believe that this is what's going on, but it's not. Which means that you can be lied into a belief and you fight to the death for that belief, not knowing that you're fighting for a belief that's not even the truth. So what happens for most people is that they don't think about what they've been taught. They accept everything they've been taught. And because you accept it, the system is programming you to be part of it. And if somebody were to offer the truth, a lot of people would deny it because, listen, I don't want to free my mind because I like my box office. I don't want to free my mind because I like my job, my box job. I don't want to free my mind. I like this structure of society. It makes me feel safe. So most likely, if you ask people, do you want freedom or do you want comfort? They're going to choose comfort over freedom. Now, my goal is hopefully to influence your mindset enough that you don't just choose comfort, but you choose freedom. Because it's one thing to be comfortable in a jail cell. It's another thing to be uncomfortable while you're flying. Now, not sure if y'all saw Matrix 4, The Resurrections. There's a scene where Neo and Trinity jumps off and all the guards are coming, and instead of they're choosing out, we're not dying today, right? It's like, what are we gonna do? We know what we're gonna do. They just jumped. They took a leap of faith. Now, mind you, Neo already had the ability within him to do certain great things in that realm, in that virtual world. But at that moment, he had lost in touch with himself, right? He has lost in touch with the true essence of who he is. So what's happening in this scene now is that Neo has lost true essence of who he is. As in, some of his ability has not really came back because he's been so gung-ho on this new false reality that was created for him. So what happens is when you are led by love, even when you haven't tapped into your innate ability to fly, love holds you up and alive, right? And it was Trinity that really, she became the one that was flying. And it was a beautiful thing, and he was holding him, and they made it out, and they just now mastered the world. Okay? But there was some point where Neo himself, he had to actually say, he thought he was going crazy. So let me ask you a question. Here, let me tell you another thing. When you are trying to escape this matrix world of false truths, people are going to make you feel like you're crazy, right? And they're going to use certain tools to kind of like keep you in line, because they're going to keep saying, nah, you're crazy. They literally gaslighting you, right? And that's what the news does. That's what all these media platforms kind of do. They do it with headlines, right? And they make you feel like you're crazy, and they call you a conspiracy theorist, right? But everybody that's in line, that's in their box, they're no conspiracy theorists. They're just regular people, right? So basically, the system rewards you for being a zombie, and the system does not want you to escape. So they create safe spaces to keep you boxed up. Now, what happened was the counselor or whoever Neo was talking to that's helping him with his mental health, knew what was really going on, but he kept using these concepts to convince Neo that, yo, this is all in your mind. This is not true. This is false reality. And Neo keeps like, yo, I don't know the difference between what I see in my mind based on what happened in my past life or what happened in my life. I don't know if that's true or not, because I keep seeing these visions. And then now Neo is literally taking what's in his mind and putting it in his craft, which became a video game. So he made a video game of the Matrix, right? And he created these characters, these programs within the video game, because it was all in his mind. Within his essence, he figured he had something that he had to bring out. It was his truth. It was actually the truth masked as a video game, because life in its own is like this video game, right? So the movie goes really deep. So like Neo is like, okay, so you mean to tell me I've been creating a video game about my life, and you've been telling me that everything I've been seeing is not true, but it is? Basically, we thought Neo and Trinity was dead, but there was not. The AI reconstructed them and put them back in the pod. Even when you find out the truth, sometimes your impact is too influential that they find a way to quiet you down but still keep you alive. But you're barely living because they got you in a Matrix world. This is what the Matrix does. The Matrix in its own is not, let's say, a digital world, but it's a mentality of enslavement. It's a way of enslaving human beings by utilizing their very own things that they identify with. Like, if I want to enslave you and keep you enslaved comfortably, I want to make it look like you're free. So it's the false illusion of choice. Now, you remember in Matrix 1, Matrix 2, Matrix 3, usually they was given a red pill or a blue pill, right? But guess what? In this Matrix movie, there was no pill. There was no blue pill. The blue pill was actually when Neo took his medicine, right? So that was really deep. So to keep you in line, they try to really dull you out, right? They try to numb you out in a way where you run away from the truth, staying oblivious to it by taking the blue pill. So Neo blue pill was actually his medication. So when you know the truth about health and you stay in the system, give me a pill, give me a pill, give me a booster shot, give me this, give me that, guess what you're doing? You're opting into the Matrix because you're saying this is more comfortable than for me to actually go and eat the food and vegetable that's going to help build my immune system. You know what? I'm actually going to choose this drug over a lifestyle shift, right? So I'm not saying that like some drugs are not effective or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is most people's oblivion is opting in. It's opting into something that promises them a result, but the result that they're really getting is not what they can be getting if they lived in the truth. So this episode, once again, I said, is escaping the Matrix, keeping you in a loop. Now, first thing we want to talk about is the mindset, right? Your mindset is one thing. A lot of people don't know that their mindset in its own is a matrix, because the way that your brain is programmed to see things is the way you see everything. So when your mind is kind of a programmed brain, it does not see what it is. It taints everything that is with what you believe to be true. So the line between what's true and what you believe to be true, you don't even know it. This is where the confusion lies, because you've been told all of these things. And now when this is presented to you, you're like, I can't really believe that because I've just been always told this. So what happens is we get stuck in, this is what I've always known, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is it. Okay. So escaping the Matrix starts with saying, man, I might not know what I think I know for sure, right? Let me look into that some more. You get what I'm saying? So what are some things that you might have to question right now? You have to question if your reality is real, right? You have to question if what you're being told is also real, right? It's not really real until you step into it for yourself, until you experience it for yourself. That's the thing about it. Well, a lot of times we can get scared about what's happening in the world. Oh no, new variant. We make it real. What you make real in your mind becomes, that's the thin line, because now it's so real for you. Now you actually, that's what you're enduring every day. Now it's the stresses of that. Once you realize that, oh man, I don't have to adopt a false reality. I can actually create my own reality because I'm a creator and I'm living in life. When you unplug yourself, this is when you escape also the matrix. What do I mean by unplug? A lot of times we're always plugged in. You know, I got to stay plugged in to what's going on. I got to stay plugged into the phone, plugged into the computer, plugged into the TV. And now we're actually plugged into the VR goggles. So many people want to be plugged in and they can't get plugged out because they don't want to take the plug out, because the moment that the plug comes out, they're like, man, I gotta live this sugar honey iced tea life, and the reason why they're looking at it that way is because they're not seeing the beauty in life. They're seeing they're seeing the ugliness of the situation, right? They're seeing the bad things happening, but they're not really actively creating joy. Or they're looking at what's around them and saying like, man, I'm not in a big house or whatever, but you're not realizing that you don't need a big house to be happy. Like you can literally have a corner and be happy, right? As soon as you're out here living in reality, in real life, being outdoors, right? And another component of real life is love, man. So the whole Matrix trilogy is like a whole love story, right? It shows the importance of love and the power of love to not just influence humans, but even influence machines, right? So there was another portion of the movie where there were these sentient beings or whatever it was, robots that actually had some sort of emotional intelligence within them, right? And I found that to be very interesting, like how at the end of Matrix 3, Neo was able to influence certain machines to switch sides, okay, to get on the side of humanity per se. So I'm like, that's very interesting that machines that don't even understand the concept of love can be influenced by love, right? So I was like, yo, that's a deep concept. But then again, it's very scary, right? Do we want to give human qualities to robots? That's what it's looking like that is going to start happening, is that more and more robots are getting more and more human qualities, right? So as you can see, like they have the advanced AI. You know what I'm saying? They got the advanced AI now. So you see the caretakers, right? And I'm like, whoa, that's interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. So The Matrix is not a movie, okay? A lot of people think The Matrix is a movie, but the truth of the matter is The Matrix is a documentary, okay? The Matrix is a documentary. And it's literally showcasing and telling us what it is, right? It's telling us a lot of things about the nature of our reality and society. And while we think that we are in control of our lives, our mindset, our paradigm is what's controlling our life. And where you adopted your paradigm or mind frame is the program that you've been given. So a lot of people live in the matrix of what they believe reality is, right? A lot of people live in the matrix of their minds, right? I believe that reality is, the reality of life is that in order for me to thrive, I need to kill other people and take what they got. And they think that's their reality, but they don't know that the way to escape the matrix is love. So a lot of people hate a lot intensely, and they do it to protect themselves or get what they want, but they don't know that they're living in the matrix of hate that were programmed into them by the things that they watch and seen and understood. So you like, yo, I started watching Friday when I was a kid. Then I watched all of these other movies. Then I started watching Power and all of these movies. Now, the kids now are actually being influenced the most by the Matrix. What do I mean by that? Here's the major thing. The line is so thin between reality and the false reality that we're losing sense of it. And now it's merging with the metaverse. What I mean by that is, you might be in a virtual room, but now you have senses. Like, I'm literally touching stuff in this metaverse. Like, they have the optic gloves where you can touch things. So let's say you went to sleep and you had 12 hours in real life and you were just living your life. And then all of a sudden you woke up and you had to do another 6 hours at work in the metaverse, right? So now when you exit work from the metaverse and you're going back to real life, you can't even, you're doing it so much that you don't even know what's the truth or not. You don't even know what's your in-person relationships and what's your virtual relationships. Now, you might be making friends all across the world. They have different avatars. You do different things. You show up as a whole different person to get, a lot of people just want to be liked and accepted. So you're like, yo, now you lose sense of who you really are, right? And this is not just happening when the metaverse comes out. This happens via social media already. Some people, they start doing a certain thing, a skit or something on social media, and it was very interesting, very useful. But they have way more than just those skits or this persona. And now in order to keep that thing going, they have to show up and be that character over and over and over and over. And they literally slowly disassociate from who they really are and who they're playing to be. Okay. So now I told you in the Matrix movie, Neo actually, Morpheus is a program that Neo actually created. So Morpheus is a program that Neo created. And that was from the actual person that he met that gave them an out, red pill or blue pill. You want to take this one or that one? What choice you're going to make? And which was an illusion to begin with, because he was already seeking to be free. Like, he already made the choice by being in the room. You get what I'm saying? A lot of people never really make the choice. They think making the choice is getting the pill, the red pill. No, making the choice is seeking to begin with, right? Those who seek will find, right? And then now when you seek, it has to be revealed within you. Now what happens is, you can seek and seek and seek, and you think it's something outside of you that you're going to find. But when Neo was seeking, once again, it's not nothing outside of him. It just kind of revealed, right? So he had the program served as a way to reveal who he has been this whole time, right? Once again, okay? So I thought that was very deep, but let's go back to this. How is the Matrix formulating in the minds of the youth every single day? Now, here's why is the Matrix. When you watch movies now, the references are usually up to date with what's happening in real life. And by that I mean, you're watching Ghost 2, right? And you're seeing a false reality, which is the show, but the details of the show look like it's actually real life. So over time, you start to believe that these characters are like, you don't really believe they're real people, but you see them as real people. So now your mindset is like, yo, I could do that, right? So I was watching Ghost Part 2, and I'm like, yo, these kids' minds are being taught this stuff, and this is how they're going to go about living their life, because they're literally being programmed with this idea of what it means to make money and run a drug organization as a kid in college and murder people to protect their back and manipulate and lie and blame other people. Like, literally, this is what the Matrix does. The Matrix places images that creates a reality in your mind, then you go out and you live it with your life, and then you call it your life. So you think you're living your life, but you're not living your life. You're living a program that you gotten. And that's just very scary. That's very, very scary. Okay? Because now, even the decisions you make are not even your decisions, because what you're basing it on is not even really you. And somebody was like, whoa, what do you mean by that? So if who you are right now is a sum total of how you've been either programmed to be or how you consciously developed yourself, it means that your life is ran by a program. Not necessarily a computer program, but the way that your perception, the way that you see life to be, what you believe is true, what you believe is right or wrong, right? Your concept of what it is going to determine what you do. So now, that's why you have people who's like, oh, like, I'm for the vaccine, like, we need to get the vaccine, blah, blah. In their eyes, right, the vaccine is going to save their life, right? And the program has been that you've been doing this since you were a little kid. And now it's like, why would I go against something that I've always been doing and it always gave me what I wanted, right? It was first little child and like, if you want to come to school, take this. And you're like, okay, I got to send my kid, I got to have them take that. And then it grew from not if you want to just come to school and take this. It's like, now if you want to come to work, take that too. And you're like, no. So the program does not just happen so that you accept it. It happens over your lifetime, right? It starts by little things, right? You get introduced to certain brands as a kid too. There's another matrix. The matrix is also what you think is the truth about the foods. That's another matrix. Because all your life, you've been eating certain packaged foods, certain types of foods, and you've been convinced that, yo, if you need your protein, this is where it's from. And you're like, man, I need to eat this to get this amount of protein. And you start defending stuff because what you're defending stuff off of is on the basis of a lie. Now, if you're going to defend stuff, it has to be that you defend stuff on the basis of the truth. But defending stuff on the basis of a lie is, that's just a big lie. And you try to convince yourself that this lie is true so that way you can remain in your false made reality. So the false reality is not simply a virtual reality. False reality is you not necessarily seeing what it really is. So the Matrix go much deep. The Matrix is not just a movie about AI taking over. Now, when you see AI, right? The thing about AI is we think AI are the machines that we've seen in the Matrix, right? And what I mean by that is we think that AI is like robots and big computers and blah, 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 blah. But the truth of the matter is AI is it's not big computers. It's not just all of those computing systems or the tech as it relates to the physical thing. AI is the algorithms that run your life. Okay. AI is the algorithms that run your life. And what I mean by that is even the very things that you are consuming on a daily basis. Like I told you, what you watch digitally is part of the matrix. Okay? So even some of the things that you are consuming on the social media is wiring your mind frame based on what you showed interest in. And you start to see certain things about this and you become programmed to believe a certain way. This is why you have so many different sides, right? Now, this is not being done by a big hand that's just like, it's just being done by an algorithm. An algorithm that studies your behaviors, algorithm that studies what you like and dislike, algorithm that studies how long you look at a post, algorithms that study what you search for. All of these algorithms come together and they create a profile of what type of person you really are. What do you really like? And based on that profile, the beast feeds you and the beast almost creates you. So now a lot of people don't know that they're being created by algorithms. They're actually cyborgs. Now, cyborg meaning they have both an extension of themselves, which is the phone. We are already cyborgs. It's just that the phone is not in us. I saw something about like they want to put the chip in now, right? So just being a cyborg. So now your phone is with you 24/7. You're always looking at it. And the phone has become an extension of who you are. Like when you go out, if you don't have the phone, it feels kind of weird, right? That's because you're literally have became a cyborg. And now the cyborg is not just you having your phone extending. Now it's going to be you having the glasses on and you being in a virtual world. Now it's going to be people having chips in and being in a virtual world. So it's a way different world right now. Okay, so you want to be conscious not to become more and more of a cyborg. Now, Elon working on a Neuralink. And guess what the Neuralink is? The Neuralink is actually a chip that's implanted somewhere in your head. Now, I told you in the Matrix, they got the thing where they get plugged in. And what's happening now, this is not integrated fully yet, but the evolution has already begun. The first plug-in was just you and your phone. You had your phone and you had to plug your phone in to use it, right? And you're usually plugged in, glued to the screen. So, but this is not, you're not interacting within the digital world just yet. The digital world is its own and you're in your own. Now, when you go into the digital world, this is when it's like you lose track of reality. This is what's getting ready to happen at a massive way. Losing track of reality is also everything that you are talking about is in relation to what you're seeing on the social media about all these celebrities, all of these. This is when you lose track of your reality and you focus on everybody else's reality that they're actually intentionally putting out. Now, what's happening in your own life, you don't even know what's happening in your life or what's happening in your body because you're so concerned about all these things. But now let's go back to the social media and how that influences your mindset and your mind frame. The people you follow is going to influence your mindset and your mind frame because the post that you see over time is going to construct a way of thinking. You might be living your life based on memes. And that's a matrix. A lot of people don't understand that. They don't see that if you don't think for yourself, you don't just consume information. The information consumes you. The moment you think for yourself, you would analyze and extract from information to get you information. But most people are not going by their own thinking. They're actually going by other people's thinking. So we live in also another society, a follower society. Now, this is what social media does. And if we would compare the Matrix to social, we can say this. Now, in Neo, everybody expected Neo to, he's the one that could do this. He's the one that have but they don't realize that they're the one too, okay? And the issue with that is they leave it to one man to free the minds of many, when it should be all of us freeing the minds of each other. And that's an issue because that's what we tend to do as society. We look up to one person to be the hero of it all, right? When we have to be the hero in our own story. Neo is you tapping into your neocortex and becoming the master and driver of your life, right? Not necessarily being led by what everybody else say. Take information and apply what's useful and carve your own path, right? What's happening is now people are not even thinking for themselves. People have a question. Now, I'm not saying to not get answers for your questions when you don't know. You need to. That's how you learn. But a lot of people won't even ask themselves the question before they ask somebody else that question. And that's the issue. You got to think for yourself. You can't let everybody else dictate what you do. At some point, you have to say, well, this is what you have presented to me. I see your presentation. I see how it is most likely true. However, I'm going to do my own research in order to figure out if this is the way I'm going to go about. Right? So you don't want to just take everybody's words for it. And that's what's happening now. People are just reading a post and saying, oh, this is what it is right now. They're not thinking about what's really going on. The Matrix, what it does is it's also ignorance. It's ignorance that happens by you ignoring certain stuff and you falling in a trance of ignorance. That's what I call an ignorance. When you're stuck in the loop of your ignorance because you are reading ignorant posts and you're classifying them as the truth. And this is the issue. So to free your mind, you have to really, really, really do some personal development. You have to be around more Morpheuses. Now, we could say Morpheus, you say rabbi, teacher, Sifu, guru. We all at this point, we need a guide. You need at least many different people you can learn from. And I said learn from, so that way you can carve out your path here on the earth. So you could do something with your gift, right? But what's happening is we just accept the authoritative figures that's been given to us early on, and we don't realize that the same people that you look up to as the authoritative figure in your life is actually agents of the Matrix. Now, in this movie, right, there was a scene where people were falling from the sky. Listen, people were falling from the sky to prevent Neo and Trinity from getting away. Were they actively doing that? Were they actually actively going after them as if like, yo, personally, I care about getting rid of them because I don't want to be free? No, what happened is because their mind wasn't freed, they were able to become agents of the system because they were unconscious about the true reality of who they are. And because they were unconscious about the true reality of who they are, they didn't have control of their minds. They were able to be used to pursue something that has nothing to do with necessarily their wants and desires. So now they're out here doing something that's against themselves and their kids and their generations, but they have no clue that they're doing it because they're stuck in the Matrix. They're oblivious. They're sleeping in a pod, right? So they're being used as a battery to the system. So this is, you're seeing people sacrifice and kill themselves for something that they don't really even believe in. That's so deep because they've been programmed and reprogrammed and taken over by a system. Okay. And then now just people just dropping all over the place and they're willing to sacrifice their life to save a system that's not even for them. And that's what the system does. The system gets you so stuck into believing in its concepts